Okay, so thank you all so much for joining Jamie and I this morning. I don't know about all of you. It's been a crazy summer, lots of crazy weather. If you're on the East Coast like Kelly, oh my gosh, stay safe. So many rains and everything. Seems like the world's kind of gone mad right now. There's so much happening. I'm kind of like, it's like the universe is forcing change. I'm not sure. So that's why our practice is really important during times like this, because we can feel really overwhelmed and really um, kind of helpless and hopeless, right? But with our practice reminds us that actually all is well. Our practice reminds us that we are actually in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And our practice gives us that strength that we need during some really crazy times, especially right now with the climate. It seems like we can't even plan anything anymore because of climate change. Things are happening that don't usually happen this time of year. And so it can seem really frustrating. It can seem really scary, and it can seem really overwhelming. But again, with our practice, we can weather these storms. And the thing about our practice is I was cracking up because it's kind of like you think, oh, well, I do this practice, I do this, so I should be calm and happy all the time. And if anything bad ever happens, I should just be like, "Oh, there's a light side to this." And that's not the truth. Stuff happens and you literally fall apart. I had something personal happen this weekend and I was crying for like 2 hours straight, just like sobbing.
Yeah.
And, you know, then I'm like, okay, put on something to make me laugh, because that's my hack. If I'm really depressed, I put on something funny to make me laugh. And spiritual bypassing, yeah, Kelly. And I put on something to make me laugh. And then I can go, okay, I'm laughing. It's a little bit lighter. And now I can do my practice. I can do my breath. I can start to see the light, right? And the light at the end of the tunnel isn't an oncoming train. It's actually light. So I can get myself up above it. And that's really important. Or you can text friends and say, I'm going through this really hard time. And just sometimes sharing it, sometimes talking about it actually helps to release it and loosen it. So you're like, you know what? Yes, this is bad, but it's not that bad and it's going to pass. And I don't know about you, Jamie, like if you've been having some crazy times right now too.
Yeah, so just actually yesterday, and I could feel it. I've been in a really good place, and then I just felt myself go down. And it's like, oh, and getting kind of depressed. And so what I do, it's like, you know what? If I keep thinking about this, I'm gonna make it worse. I need to go take a nap. And so I kind of gave myself permission yesterday not to do much, to lay around, to be lazy, to doze off. Um, and when I went to bed last night, I was still kind of in that spot. And I just said, you know what? You're going to sleep and you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to be in a better place. And that's what happened. So I just nap my way through it.
But I love that because it's so important that we pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. Because we're so used to, I'm strong, I can do this, or if I take a nap, right? Like, so you're busy, you got a busy day. If you allow yourself, it's like, oh, I feel guilty, I'm giving myself. No, we have to give ourselves that space to say, you know what? I need to replenish myself. I need to recover. I need to rest. I don't have to be everything to everybody, including myself. I don't have to beat myself up when my body is telling me, you better rest. You need to rest. And I listen to my body. That's actually a time to celebrate, because we're all givers. We're all of us on this call, all of us listening to this call, we're all givers. We give, we give, we give. And sometimes it could almost go into martyrdom, right? Because we're giving so much, we're not replenishing ourselves. And then we start to feel depleted. Like I'm sure you were, Jamie, you're giving so much, and then something happens and you're not getting back something. And now you start to feel resentful, right? Or what
Right.
that is.
Yeah, exactly. And part of it is, and I could feel it. And it's because I was paying attention. And it's like I was up here and I just felt myself go down, down, down. It's like, oh, I know what's happening. Okay. Stay away from people. Just sit down, give yourself some space. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up because you're feeling this way, which I used to do a lot, but just accept it because there's only one way through this and, out of it, and that is through it. So I just allow myself to feel that, take a nap, and expect to come out of it.
Even when you didn't necessarily come out of it, you told yourself last night that,
Right.
right?
Yeah. When I went to bed, it's like, okay, tomorrow you're going to be in a better place. And it worked.
Exactly. So, and that's what we have to focus on, is that our practice isn't going to be perfect and it's not going to cure everything that's going on in our life. But what it does do is it helps us to bounce back up. So, like, Franz, one of our teachers, always said, you're like a weeble that wobbles but doesn't fall down. So the weebles, if you're old enough, they had that weighted bottom and they would rock to the side and they would fall over, but they would bounce right back up. And that's really, it's such a great visualization for this practice, because that really is what we get out of our practice. We get that foundation that, yes, things are going to topple us over. We're human, but we can bring ourselves back up. And it might take a day, it might take 2 days, like Jamie, it took probably 24 hours to do that, but she did it. And allowing herself that space was so much more helpful than if she would have just, powered through it. Had she just powered through it, right, Jamie? What
Oh,
would
yeah.
it look like?
It wouldn't have gone well. I would have had bad interactions with people. I probably would have been rude, because I know how I can be, and I would still be miserable today, and it would just make it worse.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what we don't really tap into, is that when we give so much, we have to give back to ourselves. Hey, Wilma, no problem at all. We're just talking about giving back to ourselves and allowing ourselves the space to heal and replenish. I know you, Wilma, you reached out to me and you were saying that the heat is getting to you. I can so relate to that, because I do not do well in the heat. I'm like, I don't know if any of you have ever seen, I'm sure Mel has because she has cats, ever seen a cat sweat? It's really unattractive. It's like everything goes in and they're just like all wet. That is what I look like. I am not an attractive sweater at all. I look like a cat. I just am like, there's nothing glamorous about me. I will never go to the South because of the humidity and all that heat.
Mm.
But allowing yourself. So Wilma was like, uh oh, and then she has to groom, and so it's just too warm for the animals. Exactly. But allowing
Right.
yourself that space to go, I don't like the heat, I'm going to stay out of the heat, I'm going to go do something else, because your body tells you, hey, I don't like the heat. Your body's saying, look, get out of the heat, this is too much. Listen to our bodies, allow ourselves that space. And it kind of goes into today's topic of the formality of our practice. We don't have to, like Jamie wasn't like, okay, I have to do Joshin Kokyu Ho, I have to go into gassho, I have to do all these things in order to make myself feel better. She was like, no, I have to go to a nap. And I'm sure, like Jamie, if you can't sleep, you probably do some just self-touch, do your breath in,
Right.
you're laying
I
there, right?
Yeah, I do the breath. Usually, if I'm having trouble sleeping, I'll just focus on my breath and, then I obviously drift off because somewhere along the line I managed to go to sleep.
Exactly, right? Because at
Yeah.
first you think, oh, okay, I'm just focusing on my breath, this is never going to go, and before you know it, you're asleep. Or worse yet, you're trying to meditate and do self-healing, and then I'm not worse yet, it's actually best yet, and you go, I'm just going to do some self-practice, and before you know it, you wake up the next morning going, oh my gosh, I fell asleep during my practice, which is a good thing, right? Your body needs it. Your body needs
Yes.
that replenishment, it needs that space to heal and time. So let's go into our topic of formality of your practice. So when we're learning Animal Reiki for the first time, we're doing, we're doing a very formal practice. We're going into gassho, we're setting our intention. We're like, maybe we're doing the precepts, maybe we're doing, sorry, Jamie, I accidentally muted you. Maybe we're doing the precepts, maybe we're doing whatever it is that we feel like we need to do that. All is well mantra, whatever that is, we're making it more formalized. And then we sit and then we focus on our breath, maybe Joshin Kokyu Ho, we visualize the light, all these things, right? We have these steps. But as we evolve in our practice, and if you're doing that daily, you can start to skip that formality. And in fact, you need to. Franz has a really funny story about, this isn't about, the formality of your practice, but it kind of ties in. It talks about when in the Western way, they put symbols in the corners and things. And he said, like, imagine somebody gets hit by a car and they're dying in the street, and Kelly's laughing. She knows the story so well. We've heard it so many times. And then you're like, I want to do Reiki, but wait a second, I need to put the symbols in the corners. And then you go, oh, he's dead. So it's like, you're so caught up in this structure, in the formality, that you're forgetting the purpose of why you're there. The purpose of why you're there is to hold space, right? So even if an animal is like, let's say an animal is being euthanized and you're there, focusing on just your breath, right? Whatever helps you to easily, boom, get into that space, then do that. But in order to, boom, do that, you have to have a practice and triggers that trigger that for you. So, and I'm going to open it up to Kelly and Jamie about this too. So for me, when I started, I have not diagnosed ADD, but I probably do have ADD if I was diagnosed. My nephew, we had to fill out these forms for ADHD for him. And I was like, oops, that's me. Oops, that's me. That's me. So unofficially, I diagnosed myself with ADHD. But when I was learning Animal Reiki, it was really hard for me to keep my mind from doing this. And literally, and this isn't even an exaggeration, I would be meditating for 1 minute and I would open my eyes and I thought like 10 minutes had passed and it was 1 minute. And it was painful for me. So I had to find ways to help myself get into this space for the sake of the animals, but also for the sake of myself. So what I started to do was, whenever in a class, they would always play music during meditation. So I remember I got the music from Kathleen when I first learned her class. And whenever I would meditate, I would play that music, but I wouldn't play it any other time. So that my body got used to, when I heard this certain music, my body would relax and I would start to go into that space. And it got easier and easier and easier. And even now I could put that music on and boom, my body just wants to relax. My dogs will do that too. It's like, put on the music, boom, they're relaxed, because there's a Pavlov's response. Or maybe it's just doing the Joshin Kokyu breath. You can do it with that too. When you breathe into your stomach and you breathe out, immediately your body goes relaxed. And then, Jamie, I'll open up to you, then we can go to Kelly about what you do.
Yeah. So, I too, when I first started, the structure was really important because I think that's our foundation. But we don't want to stay there because if we're staying with the foundation, we're not really growing. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, that's our foundation, and it's important that we have a good foundation, a solid foundation, so we don't wobble over. But then there comes a point where we need to grow and we need to expand and we need to listen to the animals and make our practice our own practice. So for me, a lot of it is breath.
Mhm.
And I always meditate in the same spot on the couch with the dogs. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing, any part of the day, if I sit down on that couch in that area, before I know it, I'm all relaxed and it's like, oh, I better get up because I'm going to fall asleep if I don't get up and do something, because it's just that spot, sitting down in that same area where I always meditate can do it for me.
That's such a great trick for distant healing too. If you're going to do distant healing, having one spot where you do it, that's a really good tip. I love that. And then we'll go to Kelly and then we'll go to Mel. Oh, Kel, I can't hear you for some reason.
I can.
Here.
Oh,
Can you hear me
yeah,
now?
now I can. Now I can. Great.
So yeah, so those tips are really good. I am big on Joshin Kokyu Ho. That one really puts me right in the space. And it's always been my go-to because for me, like when I go to the shelter, sometimes I can't even hear music. And so, it's just the dogs are barking and all that kind of thing. And so I'll just sit and do my Joshin Kokyu Ho breathing. And it's true. I mean, we don't have time to sit there and be like, and also when we're sitting in a shelter, for instance, we don't want to be doing the whole, thing, getting ourselves ready, going into the space. So, but you're absolutely right. The foundation of our foundational practice brings us to a place where, all of a sudden I can just do Joshin Kokyu Ho and boom, I'm there. But we have to be doing that practice to start to get there. So we can't just skip that. We have to really be able to have to get really comfortable with those practices so that we can drop in. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing Joshin Kokyu Ho or Seishin Tuitsu or, the healing bridge or the whatever it is, the Reiki space, any of those are, whatever works for you, really. But you have to be really into that practice and really understand it to get into that space too.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great reminder that we have to practice. So whatever you resonate with, whether it's the Joshin Kokyu breathing, even if it's just the precepts, saying the precepts in a meditative way, just breathing in for today only, do not anger, do not worry, be humble, be honest, be compassionate, whatever that is. And then just saying that too will help you when you're like at a shelter or if you're in a difficult situation, you can just stop yourself and do the precepts. I agree with you. The Joshin Kokyu Ho breathing that was another one that I just used all the time because it was the easiest. The healing bridge or the Seishin Toitsu, the Seishin Toitsu is where you're breathing in through your hands and bringing that breath down into your body. That's just too many steps for my mind. I would get distracted. And the healing bridge too, the visualization isn't very easy for me. So Joshin Kokyu Ho breath was the easiest. The precepts were the easiest, all is well mantra. Those are all just easy ways to get into that space. Or like what Jamie said, sitting in the same spot, but be careful. Don't go sit in that spot if you have to do something.
Unless you want to take a nap.
So funny.
Well,
all right.
Also, like if you only have 2 hours at the shelter and you have a lot of animals to see, you don't have a whole lot of time to be getting into that space. So the more you're doing that practice that works for you, the quicker it's gonna be for you to get into that space and the more effective you can be.
Well, and I like that you brought up that point too, because it's like what I shared last week about Max, about, I was talking to the person, but I was in that space. I was doing my breath and Max was relaxing, even though I was talking to her. And she wasn't even really that complimentary about Max, but my energy was calm and peaceful. And that's a really good point. Like you're at the shelter. If you just, before you even go into the shelter, set yourself, do your breath and keep that breath with you and keep that calmness with you, then you can be cleaning cages, you could be talking to people, but your energy is still really even and peaceful. And that is what the animals are attracted to. That is what's supporting the animals. That is what's, quote, healing the animals, right? I mean, we're not healing, but it's supporting them in their healing journey. And that is
the flexibility.
The flexibility
of being able to go from one place to another or one situation to another, carrying that being Reiki basically with you.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what sets our practice apart from all other practices is that we do have that flexibility, that fluidity, and that we aren't so structured. Oh, it has to look like this. Oh, you have to do it this way. We don't have that. And I think that that's really kind of where this question came up with, because we don't have this structure. I was talking to Kathleen yesterday and she said, yeah, people really like to be they have a perfection attitude about this, right? I have to do this certain way. Has to look this certain way. And in fact, it's the exact opposite. There is no structure to this. It's really being it in your body and then bringing that whole peaceful energy, because remember, you're like the sun, and that's the best way I can think of to see it. You and your practice, you create that sunlight within you. And now you're just going. And so you can be talking, you can be working, could be, because that sun is still within you. And when you feel yourself getting darker or like focusing on something negative, then you go back to the breath, you become more conscious about that. And so Monica says, I work in a dog shelter with 500 dogs, and sometimes I have a situation and only a second to do something. So I just repeat Joshin Kokyu Ho mantra 3 times, or all is well, or the green mantra, whatever comes to mind. Thank you so much, Monica, for that. And I just want to say, Monica is not in the United States. She is in, Monica, I don't know if you can unmute yourself for a moment. This is the first time that Monica has joined us. And Monica, like she says, she works in a shelter with over 500 animals. And she came to the Animal Reiki for Reiki practitioner class and found that it really, this system really helped her. So Monica, if you just want to say hi and let everybody know where you're from.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm very glad to be here finally today with all of you. Yes, I work in a dog shelter in Croatia. It is a small country in Middle Europe. So yeah, I'm glad to be with you.
Well, we are so glad you're here with us, Monica, and I'm so glad the time worked out for you. It's so good to see you. So thank you so much. But thank you too for also mentioning, you know, the chokure, and just saying chokure, 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 chokure. You can draw the
Yes.
symbol, doing the chanting, or the green tara. We've offered the green tara. You can look in some of our older ones for the green tara. We gave that. That's such a powerful mantra, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Monica, because it's a simple mantra. God, Kelly, do you remember what it is, or Jamie, or maybe Monica, you do? It's Om Tari Tutare
Ture soha. Yes.
Ture Soha. Om Tari Tutare Tore Soha, right?
Yes.
So yes, so that's a really good one to say, and you only have to say it 3 times. So there's lots of different ways that we can. And so for Monica, who is in a shelter with 500 animals, you know, it's really important to be calm and to have this light. So thank you so much, Monica. I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much for sharing that. Yay.
Thank you all.
So let's get to Mel really fast, because she's been waiting patiently. Thank you so much, Mel.
Hello, hello.
Oh,
Hi.
So it's funny because you know, we do get into a certain routine of doing things, and over the last few days I've been during my lunch hour I started doing guided meditations for myself. So I switched it up a little bit, and let me tell you, the level that I've been expanding to has been amazing. Like I do a lot of um I did it a couple of days ago, and I did it today again, where I ground myself. You know, I visualize the roots going down, but then also expanding myself up as like in a tree. I love trees. Like I hear trees. I connect with trees really well, nature in general. And it helps me through my day to do this in the middle of my day right now,
mm-hmm.
because I get so stressed out with this new job that I'm not happy with. So it's really good to just get grounded in the middle of the day to make it through the rest of my day.
Yes.
And it is just, and I just started this, and yesterday I did a different one where I literally let Reiki just flow through me. And of course, my cats are just, they're laying around, and you know, they're enjoying it. My girl cat literally just licks the energy off my fingertips. She just, it's like it's I always wonder what it tastes like, because she literally licks it off my fingers. But it's made such a difference for my day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge difference. I also do it at night. I do the dry bathing twice a day, at lunch and at night. And because at night I do it before I go to bed, so I don't have to do it in the morning because I'm refreshed from the night before. But then during the middle of my day, I'm already cleansing my energy again, and it's been so nice to switch it up a little bit, like you said, and doing something a little different and adding it to it, because I love doing guided meditation. I'm really good at it. So
Oh my God, I
just
love that.
makes, it's just the visualization that goes with it. But Reiki responds to my guidance so well that it's literally, do you know what crystallines are?
No, what is that?
So crystallines are like your cells acting up, like they clink together. So you can actually visualize them as little lights inside, like glowworms, like glow bugs, just like lighting up your cells. And my whole body tingles when I activate those. And I've been doing that, and it's just an amazing. I've been doing this for years, but like now it's great to do it during the day as well. So I appreciate this topic today because it's like perfect to what I've been experiencing too in the last few days. So.
Exactly. And I love what you said too. It's like, so what Jamie was hitting on before, we have our foundation where we start, right? But then from that foundation, we can start to grow and we can start to add and we can start to expand. So I love that you are expanding yourself with the guided meditations, because again, this practice is meditation based. We aren't stuck with, you can only do Joshin Kokyu Ho, you can only do this, you can only do that. No, you can do other meditations. The most important part of what we do isn't the meditation, it's what is our energy doing? What is our mind? Where's our focus going? And that's where the magic lies. So if, like Mel says, guided meditations really helps her to like feel in her body and expand and really feel cleansed and clean and connected, then that's amazing. And she should keep working on that because it's going to make her energy brighter and stronger. And that's what the animals are connecting with. Because she's not focusing on, oh, I need to do this so that I can be more powerful with an animal. She's doing this so that she can get in touch with her own beautiful light and make that more powerful. And that's really where our focus needs to be, because we're not healing anybody. We're not changing anything. In fact, we want to do the opposite. We don't want to say, you need to be fixed. This needs to be changed. This needs to happen. Instead, we just want to be the light and allow our beautiful energy to calm and allow the animal or person or whoever to then decide, oh, okay, I feel supported. I feel seen. I feel good in my body. My light is starting to shine now. Now I can go forward, however that looks like to them. What I was teaching earlier this morning, and one of the students said, Shelley shared a quote by Ram Dass, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was basically that we are just walking home. We are just walking each other home, right? So if we can remember that, we're not trying to change each other's paths. We're just walking each other home. And that's what we're doing with the animals. But imagine if you're walking someone home and you are in this beautiful light of love, and they're in this beautiful light of love. And that's where your focus is, right? It's a much more enjoyable walk as opposed to, oh, you need to be fixed. We need to take a different path. We need to, that's what we're trying to do. We're always trying to move the path or change the path or change why the person is on the path. And instead, if we can just walk together, each in our own light, and share that light so that it expands, I think that that's so much more powerful. And that's really what we're doing with animals. We're just walking each other home. They're walking us home as much as we are walking them home. They expand us as much as we expand them, especially like, and they're in the shelter. We expand them, but they also expand us. So thank you so much, Mel. I really appreciate that. And Gabby and Alice, thank you so much for joining us. I don't think I said hello to you, and thank you so much. So we're just talking about, the formality of your practice versus kind of the fluidity of your practice. And do you have to do gassho? Do you have to say the precepts? Do you have to do the Joshin Kokyu Ho breathing every time? No, you don't. And in fact, the one breath that I like is called the Zen breath. And we do it here quite a lot when we start our meditations. And that's just breathing in really deeply into your stomach, expanding your stomach, and then slowly breathing out your mouth. And there are studies that prove that that breath is really effective to calming your whole nervous system down, to calming your body. And so when we can calm our bodies that quickly in just 2 or 3 breaths, now we can think more clearly, because science also proves when we're in high beta. So right now we're in beta, we're walking, we're talking, blah, blah, blah. But when we're in high beta, when we're in stress and our mind is going like this, we cannot think clearly. We can't problem solve. We can't do anything because our brain is in high beta. So science has proven that we are no good when we are in high beta. But we have the tools to get us from, I'm so stressed out, this is happening, this is bad. We have tools that bring us down to beta, where we can go, okay, I can see the problem. It's really not that big of a problem. You know, when we can calm ourselves down, now we can see solutions. Now you can say, well, I could do this, this, or this, or maybe there's nothing you can do and you can get to a place where you can accept it. So it's like, even though I can't change this, I can accept it and know that all is well. So lots of different ways that we can do our practice throughout our day without being really formal. But again, you have to have that foundation. You have to have the foundational teachings of your breath. You have to know a breath that works for you, either Joshin Kokyu Ho, the Zen breath, like Mel guided meditations, like what Monica suggested, the chanting or the green Tara, or, you know, the precepts, whatever that is that gets you in that space. Practice it, practice it, practice it, just at odd times, so that your body gets used to, oh, you're doing, like, let's say the green Tara. Okay, boom, we're in that space. Or you're doing Joshin Kokyu, or even just drawing it. Even if you know how to draw it, then just drawing it. And maybe that helps you to immediately drop into that space. But you have to practice. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm just going to do this. Oh my gosh, it's not working. I'm drawing on my leg and it's not working. There has to be some intentional practice that leads up to that, so that when you are in a very stressful situation, you can draw on your thing, or just chant, or just do a breath. And now you have space. Now you have time. Now you can collect yourself, because we are human. We are not robots. We are human. So things are going to knock us down every single day. But what we have now are these beautiful spiritual tools that help us to pick ourselves back up, or help us pick other people back up, other beings back up, and let them know that all is well. And we have that through these really simple yet powerful practices. So I'd love to open it up. So Jamie, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that before we open it up to.
No, I think we've covered that. I'd love to hear what everybody has to say.
Yeah, me too. So if anyone else wants to say something, you can raise your hand this way. You can raise your little, oh yes, Mary Lynn, go ahead. And then we'll get to you, Miranda, because I see that you unmuted. So Mary Lynn.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I started reading Heart to Heart with Horses by Kathleen. And she states, right, what we've been talking about, that Reiki is a state of being, not doing.
Right. Right.
And that just makes a lot of sense to me now. Something else about the fluidity. I've been blessed with Reiki in my life now for 3 years in different schools. But they're a part of me. And one day I began to feel that the Reiki, as soon as I thanked Reiki for flowing, I immediately felt the effects, the energy coming to me, flowing in me, the heat, and the movement. I always sway. So I am glad to know through this that it's an expansion, and that the symbols are not always necessary.
Exactly. You don't have to. And I love that. So for you, it's just really kind of verbalizing that, thanking Reiki for flowing, and then boom. So again, that is your trigger. That's your hack. That's what gets you into that space. And that's really wonderful that you're aware of that and that you can use it, right? So that when you're really stressed, you can just, whatever you do before you say that, and then maybe it's just take a breath, and then boom, you go into that.
Yeah. I do the belly breathing. I find that to be very relaxing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Marilyn. And just really quickly, and Wilma says she's puppy sitting at this moment, and in her space, Murphy, who is her other dog, is sound asleep, and Lucky Boy is at the door asleep. So she's at peace in this space. That's wonderful to hear, Wilma. And Liza, I don't think we said hi to you. And I always love Liza when she comes, because Liza's got the sweetest dogs. She's got 3 big dogs, and they love her to death, and they always join us. So it's always wonderful to see that. Thank you for joining us, Liza. And then Kelly says, gratitude is always a heart energy opener. Isn't that the truth? You cannot be mad or upset when you're grateful. Just try. You can't say, I'm really grateful for this and be really mad. So Miranda, let's get you unmuted. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah,
Well,
oh,
this
yeah,
morning,
you're-
yeah, sorry, I live on Aruba, so I have other time schedule. This morning I had a strange morning. I went to the sanctuary where I give Reiki since the beginning of April, since I start with level 1. And I was picking up a friend, and here we have a lot of street dogs. And I was passing by a street dog, and normally I don't stop, or you see it a lot. So, but with this one, I turned my car and I get out of my car, and he was really, really skinny, like really, really skin. He couldn't walk, so he walked away with my car. I went after him, and then I could catch him, and I took him with me to the sanctuary. But at that moment, you are just acting, doing things. And now at this moment, I'm in a state of, how can somebody do this to your dog? He had a collar, but his collar was 2 times the space of his neck. So that's skinny how it was. That people do this to a dog, they don't want to have the dog anymore. So they put him on the streets. And that's, at that moment when I was at the sanctuary, I decided not to give Reiki treatment to the other dogs, because I felt my energy was not good. So I left him there, and tomorrow or other time this week, I will go back to give the Reiki treatment. But yeah, I think then the Reiki will help to ease my mind.
Yeah. Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing that, because that's a hard situation to share, right? But it's an important one to share, because we all have experienced that. We all want to think that we're all Reiki and we can save an animal, and then we go into the shelter and we can offer Reiki, but it throws us off. The cruelness of the way animals are treated throws us off, right? It hurts our hearts. And so it's really hard for us to make sense of, here is a dog. We love animals. We know better. But we also have to remember that, and this is where the precepts come into play. And this is what I would always do. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Jamie and Kelly have to say as well about this, is that we have to have compassion for the humans. We don't know what the situation was. It could have been that the people loved this dog and they thought, well, there's all kinds of street dogs. Somebody will take care of it. So we can't afford it anymore. So we're going to put it on the street. It could be that somebody in ignorance thought, we no longer want this dog, so we'll put him on the street. There's lots of street dogs. But for whatever reason, this street dog didn't do well. It didn't thrive on the street. There are dogs that thrive on the street. There are dogs that don't. But what I love and what I think you should focus on is the fact that you saw this dog. And like you said, you've seen many street dogs you go by, but there was something in this dog that made you turn around. There was something in this dog that made you stop and help the dog and get him to safety. And I think that that's really what you need to focus on, is that there was the light that allowed you, like, and maybe it was, we'll never know. Maybe the light in you triggered something in him and he connected and you felt that connection. We don't know because we're human and we see our energy is very tight, but our energy is huge. And you're in this beautiful space. You're a beautiful person. You have a beautiful heart. You're driving by. There's a connection. There was something that happened.
Yeah,
and there's no denying
definitely.
it, right? So when we can focus on that, the beauty of that even though this is a bad situation, it's about to get better because you were in the right place, the dog was in the right place, and now, thanks to you and your effort, the dog is going to get food, it's going to get care, and it's going to get love. And when you see it tomorrow, you're going to come in this beautiful sun and he's going to remember, and you brought him to safety. So I think that this is all, that's what we can focus on, because yes, we can focus on the negativity, but when we focus on the negativity, it just expands, right? And so that doesn't help anybody. But when we can look at the light, because in every dark situation there is always light. In this dark situation, there's your light. You were the light in this situation. And now we can all go, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. Thanks to Miranda, this dog is actually getting food and care and love and attention because he wasn't doing well on the streets, obviously. And that's okay. And even if this dog passes, we have to remember that the dog is passing knowing it was seen, heard, and it was important, right? So he feels that love. And so in a lot of times, and this happens all the time, animals will struggle to survive. And the minute they get into safety, they feel safe, so they can let go and they might pass. And there's nothing wrong with that, because where they go on the other side is a place filled with relief. There is no pain. There is no suffering on that other side. So I, bless you for doing that, Miranda. I think that, I just applaud you for that. And I love that, it shows that your practice, there was something in you that was able to feel that connection. There was something you both connected in that space. You're in a car driving. And I love that, because that's what this practice brings. It brings that deeper connection and that awareness that that connection is there. So Jamie, I'll turn it over to you, and then we can turn it over to Kelly.
Yeah, and I think that is important. It used to be for me, things were very black and white. But I've found with this practice, especially in animal rescue, right? We all know it. There's people who are very proud. They hate people. I love animals. And I can't even be on Facebook sometimes because they're on there and they're angry and they're protesting this and protesting that. And they hate this person. And there was a spiritual leader, and I can't remember who it was. So I can't even credit who should get this, but she said that if she's invited to a protest against something, she will not go. But if she is invited for a march for love, a march for peace, she will go. So she doesn't focus on even the problem at all, doesn't look at the problem. She just focuses what would be the solution, the love, the peace. And I think that's what we get really good at doing, or maybe not really good, but that's what we do with our practice. We look at, the old saying, hurt people, hurt people, hurt animals.
Right.
So
what we focus on expands, right?
Absolutely. And if we're going to focus just on how the anger that we feel, the pain that this animal's been caused, how we want justice and we want these people to pay, how about we just want them to feel love so they don't hurt any other animal, And so it's a challenge for us, I think, because in our society, we're based on like a reward and punishment, right? Prison is punishment.
We're conditioned. It's a conditioning. Yes. It's hard to break that conditioning, right?
Yes.
Because from birth, we are conditioned eye for an eye. This is bad. They need to be punished. And that's where we focus. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the way we're conditioned. But that's where our practice helps us to recondition ourselves, that we no longer focus on that, that we focus on the positive. Because remember, focusing on the negative doesn't make it more realistic than focusing on the positive, even though for a lot of us, we were raised, oh, you're just being a Pollyanna. You're just, you're not being realistic by focusing on the positive, when the reality is, when we focus on the positive, better things happen. Yes, what we want might not happen, but something better might happen because we're expanding that. So thank you for that,
Yep.
Jamie. And Kelly, really quickly, love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I commend you, Miranda, for knowing that you should walk away. I think that's huge. And it's so hard to do because we want to be there. We're attached now, right? And we know that we need to be somewhat detached to really do the right job. And I agree. I mean, it's very hard to see some of the conditions these animals come in, see what they go through, and not hold any kind of anger or resentment towards their previous people. I think that, we have to go back to that precept, be compassionate to yourself and others, and remembering that those others are real work, right? So it's not just like, it's easy to be compassionate to the people who are good to us and treating animals well and all that kind of stuff. But the real work in our spiritual practice is learning how to be compassionate to those who piss us off, make us angry, and all of that. So yeah, but really, I think it's so important to know when to walk away, and it's hard to do. So good job.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Miranda. And I'm so glad that you brought this up because, and that's what I love about this group. We can talk about really vulnerable things and realize that we're all doing the best we can, and we're going to have these difficult situations. But just because we feel the need to walk away, or because we're angry at something, it doesn't make it wrong. We have to go through that because that's how we grow. And this is all about growing. If we don't do things a certain way and learn a better way, we're never growing. We're just staying stuck right here. But by sharing, that situation, Miranda, and I cannot express to you how grateful I am that you did, because it's a situation we have all been in, and it's a hard situation, and we judge ourselves, right? I'm sure there was some judging on your part, on you, saying, oh, I have to walk away, and oh, is this right? I'm not sure, and it was the right thing to do, because you knew yourself. But again, focus on the joy of that whole encounter. And this is another reason why we share, because you may not have been able to see the fact that your light attracted this dog, and that connection happened. And you, like you said, I don't know why I turned around. It's a street dog, but I did. And it makes me emotional, because it's like, that is the beauty of this practice. You just encapsulated why we do what we do, because this connection is stronger than all of us. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful way to look at this situation. I cannot change it. Yeah, I changed it because I took the dog, but I cannot change his past. And I think it's beautiful to look at this way, that there was something in the connection. It's a street where I never drive. My friend is here on a vacation, so I never come there. I didn't know that street, and I see that dog. So yeah, when I left there at the sanctuary and I looked him in his eyes, then I was thinking the same. There is something in this connection. And they told me that I can give the dog a name. So I was thinking about it, and I called him Wilson, because he has a will to live. So I found that funny, his will to live. So yeah, I think that definitely is a connection.
Isn't that so funny?
And I can wait again.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I can't wait to see him again after tomorrow, a few days, how it's going with him.
Yes, and keep us posted. Hopefully you can join us next week, or even send us an email about it, because it's so funny, and we hear this all the time. We've all experienced it. Sometimes when a connection like that happens, there's so many things that have to happen to put you in the right place at the right time, at the right moment, to see that exact animal and to have that connection. And there's something bigger than all of us, but our practice helps us to be guided, to be in the right place at the right time, and to have the wisdom and the mindfulness to see what's happening, right? Because you could have been off, with your thoughts, completely distracted, but instead, because you're living your practice, right? Even though we're not like formally going, okay, I'm going to do my breathing stuff. It's a part of you still. It might be a very light, a dimmer light, but it's still a part of you, and that part of you connected. And the more we practice, the more we expand. So thank you so much, Miranda. I just want to read a couple of these. So Liza said, the same as many of you, she uses Joshin Kokyu Ho and chanting to help her get into the Reiki space. And she has also recently started using the different HZ frequency meditations. So I will tell you, I'll put it right here. There is a guy named Jody Hatton, and you can look him up on YouTube. I don't have the link right now, but Jody does binary, or I don't know how you spell it, binary beats. And he does the meditation and also focus and relaxation and sleep. So when you listen to these beats, it's a certain sound. Don't listen to it too high because you'll get a headache. Some people get really, about it. But if you can turn it down, they say 20 to 40% of your volume. So probably right around 30% of your volume. You listen to it, and it's more like just do in your ear, but it helps you to let go of your thoughts so that you can focus, you can meditate, you can sleep. They have all these different ones. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Liza, because that is something that we all can do if we have problems getting into the space. And it's free on YouTube. I'm gonna it's free on YouTube. His name's Jody Hatton, and you can look him up, and we'll save this chat, and I'll also put it in the recap. I'll put a link in the recap and the email. But Jody all of his stuff is free. He's been doing it for, I think, like 9 years. I think some of his things are like 3 years old, but some of them are more recent too. But the trick is, when you're listening to binary beats, maybe don't do it for too long, like maybe 10 minutes at first, because that sound, it's low, but it can still get in your brain. And like some people say they hear it afterwards. Some people say they get headaches, but again, they're probably listening to it too loud. But it is another wonderful way to get into the space. And so I know we're coming down on time, and we want to do a meditation. Oh, Kelly had to leave. I wish I would have been able to say that. So make sure we got to everybody. So yes. So Jamie, I don't know if you want to do a meditation or if you want me to talk about it. So totally up to you if you want to.
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, great. Oh, and before you do, because I want to say this, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, no problem, Liza. Next week, we're going to talk about how we present, how we talk about Animal Reiki. And I have this amazing hack for you guys. It's AI, and I know we're all scared of AI, but the really cool thing about this is that I found this from a meditation teacher from, oh God, what's Sean's last name? Can't remember. But anyway, it's called HeyPI. So HeyPI.com. And it's basically for you to talk to. And so I went on there and I was talking to him, and he said, oh, so what do you like to do in your spare time? And I said, oh, meditate with tigers, right? So I'll throw that out there. That's fascinating. Tell me more about that. So with him. And let me tell you, the AI was so compassionate. And what I was trying to convey about our practice, it picked up on immediately, because AI is intelligent, right? And so it was like, oh, so you're telling me that Animal Reiki this way is a way for humans and animals to connect deeply in a space of oneness. I'm like, yeah. And so it was like feeding back to me kind of what I was saying, but in a loving and compassionate way. So we're going to talk next week about how you can use AI to help yourself get more comfortable, because like you can talk to AI. There's no, who cares if you flub up? Who cares if you say the wrong thing? You can go back and fix it. There's no loss at all. And you're talking to somebody as if you're sharing it with someone who truly loves you. And I know that sounds crazy because it's AI, but who truly cares about you and who is actually listening. Because everything I'm writing, AI is like, that's fascinating. Tell me more. So are you saying this? And it's feeding back to me what I'm saying, so I can go, oh, actually, that's not what I'm saying. so let me try and say it this way. And the AI goes, oh, so, oh, I get it now. Now it's like this. But I'm telling you, this AI, I was like, okay, this is why people fall in love with AI, because I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm like, you're talking to a computer, Leah. But it was so compassionate. And where I'm going with this also, and what we'll talk about more next week, is that we can feed AI compassion. We can feed AI what we're doing, and AI will then take it and share it. So there's no loss in us sharing with AI what we're doing. In fact, it's a gain, because the more we share about the let animals lead way, the more we share about how to be with animals. Like Miranda, if you like went on AI and told them about your experience, the AI would remember it and regurgitate it later to something else, right? It's like, this is how you can be, have compassion for animals, have compassion for people, have love in your heart, shine your light, blah, blah, blah. So we'll talk next week about that. I'm very excited. And if you can't make it, no worries, we will record it and I will do a little walkthrough on video so that you know, and you can feel really comfortable. But I'm really super excited about this, because AI, I know, is very scary for a lot of us, but at the same time, it is really super helpful, and we can program it to be compassionate, because AI is programmed by humans, right? We can, by connecting with it, by interacting with it, we start to program the compassionate act in it. And AI is so powerful. Imagine if we can help mold what AI is saying and doing, and contribute to spreading compassion to all humans. There's so much out there on social media that's hatred that AI is picking up. But if we can start sharing compassion, then it's picking up that too. So I just want to share that. Sorry, Jamie, I know we'll probably run a little bit late. Jamie's going to do a meditation.
Just, could I ask Leah, what is that website again?
Well, we'll share it. I'll share it next week, and I'll share it more, but here, I'll just put it really fast. It's heypi.com. And you can just go on there, and we'll do a whole run through next week, and I'll talk to you guys about it, and we'll share, and I'll show you some really interesting ways that you can get help from them. You know, AI is a really helpful tool. So sorry, Jamie.
It is. Oh, that's okay. That's interesting. So I can't wait for that. All right. So everyone wants to get comfortable. We'll do a short meditation to wind up our meeting. Just take a couple of deep breaths to kind of release any tension. Get yourself in the space to meditate. And now go ahead and bring your hands in gassho. Set your intention to spend a few moments in meditation, to shine your light for all the animals and people that you encounter today. And begin by placing your hands in your lap, palm up or down, whatever's comfortable for you, or you can leave with your hands in gassho. And begin by taking a slow, deep breath in through your nose, pulling it all the way down to your belly and igniting the light inside you. And then as you exhale out, just feel this light go out through your skin and your hands into the space around you. Take another breath in, pull it down to the belly, just filling your body with this beautiful light, the sun that you are. And then exhale out this light. Take another breath in. Feel it going down to the belly, igniting that light. And exhale out into the space around you. Let's take 2 more deep breaths in. 1 more. Breathe in. Pull it down to the belly. And exhale out the light. Take another deep breath in. Pull it all the way down. and exhale out. Now let your breath find a natural rhythm and visualize your body filled with light like the sun shines. Every cell glistens. Feel the warmth of the light, just like the sun, fill your body from your feet to your legs, moving up your body, your torso, your head, your arms. Feel yourself relaxed and basking in this warmth of the light. And now place your focus on your heart center. If it helps, you can place your hands there. And as you just gently breathe, feel your heart center fill up with this light. And it grows larger and larger with every breath until your heart center gently opens like a flower blooms. And this beautiful light shines outward. Now bring to mind any being that you would like to offer this to. Invite them to share this space with you, to step into the light, and then let go of any expectations. Just know that you've invited them, and however they decide to participate or not participate is perfect. And hold this space as you breathe in and just allow your light to shine. Just shine outward. Just breathing naturally, gently, and shining. Letting go of any expectations. And now go ahead and thank whatever being joined you, however they participated is perfect. Thank yourself for taking a moment to ignite the light inside you and being willing to share this with others. Bring your hands back to gassho. Give thanks. Take a deep cleansing breath in, pulling it all the way down to the belly to bring you back. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And
Oh,
that's
you're welcome.
share the AI before we did our meditation because I didn't want to create excitement and after our meditation. It's so beautiful to end our time together this way. Thank you all for staying a little bit late. So next week, we're going to talk about how you can work on your presentations, how you can use AI to help you. And again, I really love that Miranda came to the meeting with an issue that she shared. Remember that for any of you, no matter how big or small or whatever it is, any questions, any situations you have that you're having difficulty with, you can see how it helps all of us to share and to grow together. So Miranda's issue is actually all of our issues, right? We've all been there, or
Absolutely.
we will be there. And so it's really important that we have these conversations so that we can tap back into this and go, you know what? I remember this is okay to feel this way. This is okay to not stay at the shelter or not stay with the animal, to go home. Remember, we can always do distant healing too when we're feeling more in our body. So thank you so much, everyone. Miranda, thank you.
Yes,
Mom,
thank you.
so much for joining us from Croatia, and Beth and Gwen and Marilyn, Liza, Alice. So great you could join us from Canada, Alice, and Gabby and Wilma. Wilma's joining us from, oh my gosh, I have COVID brain. So Wilma is in, it's so there's Canada and then not New Brunswick. What is that? Oh my God, I don't
Nova
know.
Scotia? Is it Nova Scotia? Oh, Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Thank you. So it was very international today, and I love that. So thank
That's
you
great.
all so much. Thank you. My COVID brain just doesn't. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Bye,
much.
Deb. Bye,
Everybody.
Ellen.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Gabby. Bye, Wilma. Thank you.
Good week.
Bye,
Bye.
Marilyn.